It's time to get inside the Giants huddle.
Let's go, back to your huddle.
On Giants.com.
Tempo.
And the Giants mobile app.
Go.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Giants Huddle podcast. For this rapid reaction to the Giants-Chiefs game, I'm joined by Super Bowl champion Shaun O'Hara. But first, a reminder that the Giants Huddle podcast can be found on the Giants app at giants.com/podcasts and on all popular podcast platforms. Now we're joined by our guest, Shaun O'Hara. Shaun, Giants went down to Arrowhead, a tough loss, 20-17 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think if you look at that final score, it's a lot closer than a lot of people thought it would be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you would have told me that the Giants defense was going to hold the Chiefs offense to just 20 points, I would say we got a really good shot at winning that football game. When you think about Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 48 times in this game, and yet only 275 yards passing, that's a win. And I think, if the Giants had won this game ball absolutely to Patrick Graham, his whole philosophy on, look, we're not going to give up the big play. You want to run the football, we're going to make you stay patient with that. And knowing Andy Reid wants to take some shots, Patrick Mahomes wants to take some shots. I think that, they executed that game plan exactly as they wanted it to go to get executed, and not giving up the big play, making a march down to the field of the red zone, and then clamp it down, forcing them to kick field goals twice on some big-time drives at the end of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned Patrick Graham's defensive strategy. That opening drive was kind of a testament to it, right? They were playing a bit soft, allowing them to get 5-7 yards, and the Chiefs kind of marched down the field. But when it mattered, when they were in the red zone, Patrick Mahomes goes for it, throws a pick. Julian Love comes up with that interception. The Chiefs are leading the league by a mile in turnovers, and the Giants absolutely capitalized off of that in that opening drive.
Yeah, that was huge. Obviously, the interception in the red zone, the turnover is great in itself, but, if it's an incomplete pass, they're going to get points. So to not give up any points on that drive was definitely big. I think the game plan was good, too, on third down. Certainly on that play and a couple of other plays, the Giants rushed 3 guys, and then they kept one other linebacker or defensive back in as a spy rusher, because Mahomes really loves to escape the pocket, and that stresses your defensive backfield. So that spy rusher and that game plan worked really nicely. And then, the other interception that got called back, Darnay Holmes with an unbelievable interception in the slot. And, I think that interception would have – I think the Giants win the football game if O'Shane Ximenez is not offsides on that play. But time and time again this year, we've seen that exact type of play where, oh my gosh, great play, and only to be nullified by a mistake or a penalty or something else happening. So I think Giants fans feel a little snake bit right now, and this team certainly does as well. But the offense has got to step up. If you hold the Chiefs at 20 points, you should win that football game.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned that Darnay Holmes, of course, that one coming at a much more crucial point late in the game, tied at 17 in the fourth quarter. If you're in that situation, you're the Giants, and you say, hey, we're going to be tied at 17 in the fourth quarter at Kansas City, that's a situation you want to take. But, to your point, the offense having to kind of hold their own as well. That first quarter interception by Julian Love, the Giants turn around, Daniel Jones throws a pick to Willie Gay right away as well. The offense not being able to capitalize on the defense's productivity, that's got to be frustrating. Yeah,
I'm sure it is. And, I think that's why it was good that they capitalized on the Logan Ryan forced fumble. When he punched out of Jason Kelce, they went right down the field and they ended up scoring a touchdown there. So huge momentum. But the one thing that Giants are still struggling with is, okay, when you get that kind of momentum, keep it, have that killer instinct. And they just haven't been able to put their foot on the gas pedal from that standpoint. And then, of course, the Chiefs, look, they've been in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, so they're going to battle back. In a heavyweight fight, they're going to throw some punches too. You've got to be able to absorb it and not lose that momentum, and they just couldn't seem to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, we did see the Giants able to put together a few scoring drives, some gadgetry with Kadarius Toney making his return, though he dealt with a thumb injury. He was in and out of this game, but, he was able to throw a deep pass and to Sterling Shepard, and that drive ended up with a Kyle Rudolph touchdown. Rudolph, the red zone reindeer. I can't say that enough. Evan Ingram got into the end zone as well. Both of these were on, short yardage situations from the red zone, and seeing the Giants able to capitalize on those red zone opportunities, even though they weren't flawless there, that's a growth point for this team.
Yeah, it is. And, things got a little hairy there because it was fourth down, the play call to Kyle Rudolph. I think everybody was 100% in agreement with that. You go for it there. You're on the road. You're playing the Chiefs. You're not going to beat them kicking field goals. And I think that red zone production definitely something to build on. The frustrating thing is still, like that 3rd and 4, they're down there in the red zone. Sterling Shepard with a 2-yard, 3-yard little route, and now it's 4th and 2. And it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? If it's 4th and 1, maybe they go for it again. But 4th and 2 down there at the goal line is tough. That's a tough 2 yards. It probably feels like 10 yards sometimes. So, that feels like a missed opportunity. But I think offensively, it's just they're too sporadic. It's a couple of good plays here and then a penalty here and backs them up. You take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and instead of talking about how good of a game Devontae Booker had and the impact he had, and as both a running back, getting some big plays, some big runs, over 7 yards, as well as some nice big receptions that he broke a couple tackles, a couple of check downs, a couple of screens. He was a force and he was an impact. That kind of gets lost in the fray of the loss on the road.
Yeah, but we got to highlight Devontae Booker, right? 60 yards on the ground, 14-yard long on the running game, and then another 65 yards in the receiving game, including that 41-yard reception where he just kind of made a lot of yak right there. It seems like he's kind of coming into his own and gaining that confidence, especially in the North and South game.
Yeah, he's definitely getting some rhythm, and I think for running backs, it's all about vision. And, when it comes to running the football, we have this thing called run fits, which is basically, all right, when we design a play, and you draw it up on the board, here's where it's designed to go. Well, that's great, but when you get out there in the field, what does that look like? Where is the entry point? And based on what the defense is doing, what their front is, that's going to change week to week, that entry point and where that cutback lane is going to be. So you can see that he's doing a good job being patient with that. His vision has gotten so much better over the last couple of weeks. He sees that hole. An NFL hole is only open for a split second, and he's hitting it, getting vertical, taking care of the football, and I think that's all a big part of it. So it's good to see him, continue to get some confidence in this offense. So let's see, quick math, 65 on the ground, you said, 65 in the air. That's 130 all-purpose yards. That's a good day for Booker.
That's a strong day for Booker, and that is the most, total yardage that he's had on the season so far. That's something that you love to see. And even though the run game, of course, Booker 60 yards on the ground, Daniel Jones adding 12, and that's about all that they had. They have not yet eclipsed that 100-yard rushing game yet this season, but kind of making some progress and making some strides and taking some chunks out of it. How important is that? I mean, we talk a lot about getting the run game going, but how important is that for this offense to be successful, to have a real run threat there?
Yeah, I think it's good for a number of reasons. Number one, you want to be physical, and that's your opportunity to be. I think passing game, you're a little more passive as an offense. So you want to have a little more teeth, a little more identity. But the key with that is third down. Like if you're not converting third downs, you're not going to get the opportunity to run the football more on first and second down. So that's where it's, those go hand in hand. So the more you can convert on the third downs, the more opportunities you're going to get to run the football. But no doubt about it, that's your big chunks are going to come from that play action ability. And as you're running the football, now all of a sudden defenses are adjusting to stop the run. That opens things up down the field. The one thing that keeps showing up for the Giants offense is teams are saying, look, we're fine playing too high. We're fine playing deep, not letting you have the big play. The Giants, I think, are last in the NFL in explosive plays right now. The two categories that they struggle this year as well as last year is red zone and big plays. And so teams will say, look, we're not going to give you the big play. We're going to force you to run the football, commit to the run, and we don't think you're good enough to not beat yourself, to not get a penalty, to not have a bad play that gets you into 3rd and 12, and then we get you off the field.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of big plays, you got a guy like John Ross, right, who had 2 catches, both of them, one 50 yards, another one 22.
Yeah, one when he's on his back.
I know, right? And
it was
like
phenomenal.
It was incredible to see, and especially with such a depleted receiving core. I mean, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney making their return to the field today. Shep goes down again. Kadarius Toney dealing with a thumb injury again. In the middle of this game, but
Dante Pettis
and
got
Dante
hurt,
Pettis
he's out.
going down with the shoulder, right? And it seems like so many players keep dropping, but with Ross able to step up and make those kind of splashy plays, that's got to be inspiring to see as well.
Yeah, I think Ross has done a good job. He doesn't had a ton of opportunities. Obviously, with Slayton back in the lineup too. They're trying to get him some confidence and get him back more involved. But the offense just we have yet to see it at full force, and we have yet to see it kind of click on all cylinders. There's been times, and it's been sporadic, but we talked about it on the post-game show. You come out the end of the end of the first half, that drive. Apparently there were some issues with the headsets. Just looked like there was no like, hey, we got a chance to go and score some points right before the half. Let's have some urgency. Let's go get it. Let's be aggressive. And then coming in out of halftime, that first possession, it's hey, 3rd and 1, we don't convert. Now we're off the field, and it's a missed opportunity. You talk about, hey, look, we're going to take the knee. We feel good going in halftime. Now we're going to get the ball to start the second half, and then you don't do anything with it. It's a loss. It's a wasted possession. The Giants only had 2 possessions in the third quarter, and that's a long time for the defense to be out on the field.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about especially the end of that first half as well, the Giants going out there, they're in decent field position. They're chunking away. They're trailing just by 14-10 is the score. And the Giants are making some progress, but then penalties, shooting themselves in the foot. They get, an offsides penalty. They get a delay of game penalty. And they're backing it up, and then they have to take a knee and, walk into the locker room and live to see another quarter. But that really, takes the air out of the balloon as well. And that's, got to contribute to the way they came out in this third quarter.
Yeah, I think if they find a way to go kick a field goal right there at the end. And look, Graham Gano's been having a great year. So give him a shot. Give him a chance. You kick a field goal there. You go into halftime 14-13.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hey, we're getting the ball back right now. We have a chance to take the lead. So it definitely builds the confidence, and you know what, maybe you get Jason Garrett a little more confidence to say, hey, we're going to come out, we're going to take a shot. Mm-hmm. You know what? It's a 1-point game, and all those things are intertwined, and you'd love to see the Giants just come out and just say, hey, you know what, I would have liked to have seen a little more no huddle out of them. I think when you're on the road, that's always an opportunity to try to slow things down for them defensively and kind of quiet the crowd a little bit. So that could have been an opportunity for them to come out that first possession in the second half and, hey, let's go up tempo. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's put a little pressure on their defense.
Yeah, especially in a place that's as loud as Arrowhead. You want to be able to have that communication, that kind of flow working. But, we talked about this. They were tied up at 17 in the fourth quarter, and it just seemed like penalties and shooting themselves in the foot. And we almost talk about this every week, is that this team, it's not about who they're playing as much as about not beating themselves. And returning back to MetLife on a short week, you got the Raiders coming to town. This team's kind of, really sticking together. They're coming off of a bye. How does this team kind of keep the focus? I know Joe Judge says, win or lose, we're still same energy, back in the lab, back to square one, back to the drawing board. But, it's got to be tough coming off of a defeat like that.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's a short week now. Look, it's, Tuesday is your off day. You're probably still going to have to come in and get some treatment, and then Wednesday is going to be a modified Wednesday as you're trying to ramp back up. And, look, you're not going to go full pads, for this week probably. Maybe Thursday you put the pads on a little bit, but, you want your team to be ready on Sunday physically. I just think at this point in the season right now, it shouldn't be, a 45-minute to an hour film session on corrections. At this point in the season, it should be, look, there's 3 or 4 plays that we had some boneheaded plays, or, we had a mental gaffe here, or, we had a sloppy play here. It can't be as many plays as it is both sides of the ball. It's offense and defensively. Missed opportunities, missed plays. And when you come back in as a unit and you start saying, all right, hey, here are the plays that we've got to correct, it can't be the same guys. It can't be the same plays. And going into week 9, these are things that should be ironed out. The things that you're doing in weeks 1, 2, and 3 should not still be an issue at this point in the season.
Absolutely. Well, we got a lot of ball game left. We're about halfway through the 2021 NFL season. Shaun O'Hara, thanks so much for taking the time with this rapid reaction. And just want to remind you guys, this Giants Huddle podcast is available on the Giants app at giants.com/podcasts and all popular podcast platforms. Giants Huddle podcast feed also has the All In NYG podcast presented by PNC Private Bank, which celebrates the 10th anniversary of the Giants Super Bowl 46 championship. For more reaction to the game, tune in to Big Blue Kickoff Live on the Giants app every weekday at 12:30, or find archived episodes on the Big Blue Kickoff Live podcast feed. For Shaun O'Hara, I'm Madelyn Burke, and we will see you next time on the Giants Huddle podcast.